This video ranks every single card in Clash Royale. So if you want to win more battles, you need to know the best cards to build the strongest decks and the weakest cards to avoid wasting your valuable resources. And this tier list will be divided by card rarity. So let's start with the common cards first. Now before we begin, I want to thank Gods Unchained for sponsoring today's video. Gods Unchained is a tactical card game led by Chris Clay, the former game director of Magic the Gathering Arena. And let me tell you, if you were a fan of that game growing up, then you're in for a treat. The game focuses on competitive gameplay where players must strategically outsmart their opponents by building decks that are able to combat with a wide variety of tactics. One of the coolest things about Gods Unchained is it gives players true ownership over their in-game items. This means that you will have the ability to trade, sell, or use your cards in any way you like, just like it used to feel when you would open a tangible card back when you were younger and you actually own the cards that you opened. Gods Unchained is available for download right now, so go ahead and try it out and enjoy tons of amazing challenges and rewards to collect. Create an account for free, claim your first 6 card packs, and experience Gods Unchained using my link down below. Now, in order to download Gods Unchained, you have to follow a couple of easy steps. Step 1, download the game for free right now using my link below on your PC or Mac. Step 2, enter your email address, create a username and password. Once you complete all these details, the game client will automatically download. And if you don't have or want a crypto wallet just yet, you can just create one by using your email and you're good to go. And if you already have a crypto wallet, feel free to connect it. But note, in either scenario, the game is still completely free to play and have fun. No bank details are needed. Step 3, once you install the game, make sure you check out the tutorial missions where you will get a better understanding of the game and also claim your first free card packs. Thanks again to Gods Unchained for sponsoring this video. So jumping right into it here with our 28 common cards. First up are the Barbarians, which fall steadily on the B tier. They are overall a fairly good card in Clash Royale. Not too overpowered, not too weak. They do a really good job at destroying those tanks and overall are a fairly decent card. The Zaspel going all the way up to S tier, a very strong spell in Clash Royale. One of the most versatile in the entire game. The Knight gonna land here on B tier as well, a little bit ahead of the Barbarians. Moving on to the Tesla Tower. Unfortunately for this tower, it does land in C tier. It is simply outperformed by a variety of other buildings and is currently one of the lowest rated cards in the entire game, boasting only a 40% win rate, finding itself ranked at 87th out of 109 cards in Clash Royale. Let's compare that to the Cannon, which has a 48% win rate and a whopping 13% usage, which is drastically higher than the 4% use rate of the Tesla. And because of that, we'll rate the Cannon on the higher end of the B tier. Now, that leads us to the Archers, currently one of the strongest cards in the entire game, all the way up here at the highest end of the S tier. Check this out. The Archers currently hold a 55% win rate with a whopping 38% usage. Almost 40% of all battles have an Archers in there, and they still have an overwhelmingly strong 55% win rate. That is insane. And because the Archers are so dominant, the arrows are one of the most valuable spells in the entire game right now, and almost every deck requires to have it in there to deal with all of the Archers, which means even the arrows has a 28% usage and a whopping 54% win rate. Moving on to the Skeletons, going to be on the higher end of A tier. Even though they do deal low damage and obviously have very low HP, they offer infinite utility for only 1 elixir cost with the ability to distract high damage cards like P.E.K.K.A.s or Princes. They deal decent DPS and they can even surround and distract swarm cards like a Mega Knight. And if you're very skilled, you can even use them to pull flying units to the opposite lane and away from a push. Now with that being said, the Goblins have currently taken the spotlight from the Skeletons because of the balance update a while ago where you now get 4 Goblins instead of 3. They are a very powerful card, boasting a whopping 55% win rate and 25% usage. Moving on to the Skeleton Dragons, even though they do have a high win percentage, they are only really ever used in lava hunt strategies, and inherently themselves, they aren't overly a strong card. So the Skeletons do find themselves landing in the middle of B tier. The Skeleton Barrel will be on the higher end of C tier, currently a little bit of a weaker card because of the prevalence of things like the arrows. And the Royal Recruits over here on the middle side of B tier, the Royal Giant way up here on the higher end of A tier, one of the strongest win conditions in Clash Royale, and honestly, one of the better win conditions for free-to-play players because it is a common card. The Rascals, however, unfortunately on the lower end of C tier because the archers are so popular, almost everybody is using the arrows, which makes it incredibly hard to ever get value for those Rascals because the arrows will destroy the Rascal girls. Royal Delivery, higher end of the B tier, the Mortar way up here next to the Royal Giant as one of the strongest win conditions in Clash Royale, and honestly, another common card win condition as well, which is a great option for free-to-play players and persistently strong over many years. In fact, it's so strong that pro players have been asking for a Mortar nerf for a very long time. That leads us to the minions over here on the B tier. Minion Horde, lower side of B tier, but still overall a good card. The Bats up here at A tier. Honestly, for 2 elixir, they offer decent distraction and decent DPS output as well. And if your opponent does not have an immediate response like Zap or Snowball, they can deal devastating damage in a short amount of time. Ice Spirit over here, A tier. Goblin Gang, unfortunately, on the lower end of the C tier. You know what, Tesla, you can go up here as well. But like I mentioned before, because the archers are so popular, everyone's using arrows. Therefore, the Goblin Gang is very hard to get value for. And also, the Golden Knight is one of the most popular and powerful cards in the game. And it just outright destroys the entire Goblin Gang with his ability. That makes it very, very hard to ever get value with that Goblin Gang. Snowball over here at S tier. Overall, a very powerful card for only 2 elixir. The Firecracker, unfortunately, our first D tier card. It is currently ranked 103rd out of 109 cards, boasting only a 33% win rate. Fire Spirit over here at A tier. Elite Barbarians, higher end of the B tier. Electro Spirit up here at A tier as well. And the Spear Goblins, A tier as well. And for our final common cards, we have the Bomber. Dun 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 dun. Where will it go? B tier. Okay. So that right there is our common card ranking. Let's take a look next at the rare cards. So here we are with our 28 rare cards, starting out with the Barbarian Hut. Unfortunately, going to be a C tier weak card. Did you know that 1 4 elixir Fireball can completely deny a 6 elixir Barbarian Hut? Battle Healer, unfortunately, C tier. Battle Ram, however, going to be B tier. Overall, a fairly good card. The Bomb Tower, all the way here, S tier, currently boasting a whopping 55% win rate and a powerful 15% usage. Very popular card, very high win rate. Overall, very dominant in the meta right now. Dark Goblin can be B tier. Earthquake, A tier for sure. The Elixir Collector will be A tier as well. Speaking of Elixir, the Elixir Golem way up here at the bottom end of C tier. Overall, a very, very weak card and almost impossible to consistently win with. Let's just check this out. Currently has a 37% win rate, 2% usage, and is ranked 98th out of 109 cards in Clash Royale, which overall is not too strong. Fireball, speaking of strong, all the way up here at S tier, one of the best spells in Clash Royale, one of the most versatile and one of the most consistent across a wide variety of metas. Overall, you cannot go wrong with upgrading that Fireball. The Flying Machine, surprisingly, is a really good card up here at A tier because of that long range. It can be a very, very nuisance card if your opponent does not have a response for it. The Furnace, over here at the lower end of A tier. If you thought the Elixir Golem had bad stats, check this out. The Furnace is even worse, with only a 32% win rate and a 1% usage, causing it to be ranked 104 out of 109 cards. The Giant over here at the higher end of the B tier. Same thing with the Goblin Cage. Honestly, overall, a fairly good card. The Goblin Hut, unfortunately, over here at the lower end of the C tier. I would say it's slightly a little bit better than the Barbarian Hut and the Furnace, but overall, still a fairly weak card. That leads us to the Heal Spirit. Where does this little guy go? Surprisingly, right now, all the way up here at the higher end of S tier. Check this out. 60% win rate, 6% usage. Currently ranked the highest card in Clash Royale. And those are some insane stats. So you might be wondering, why is it not ranked the highest card on this list? And that's because of the versatility. The Fireball just works in almost any strategy in Clash Royale and is persistent across a wide variety of metas. So even though the balance changes might happen every 2 months, the best decks might change, the Fireball is always there as a consistent and reliable spell to go in your deck. Speaking of decks, the Hog Rider over here at the B tier. Ice Golem, middle of B tier as well. The Inferno Tower, unfortunately, is a bit of a weaker card. Same thing with the Mega Minion, who used to be a very powerful aerial defense, but ever since the Phoenix came out, it basically is a better Mega Minion in every sense. So the Mega Minion has fallen all the way to the middle of the B tier. Let's move Battle Ram back up right here. Mini P.E.K.K.A, unfortunately, lower end of B tier. And the Royal Hogs over here at the higher end of A tier. Speaking of A tiers, the Rocket is definitely not going to be all the way down here at the lower end of C tier. Unfortunately, ever since that nerf, it just hasn't been the same. It's currently ranked 102 out of 109 with only a 34% win rate, only 2 cards ahead of the Furnace. Musketeer over here on the higher end of the B tier. Overall, a fairly good range attacker, especially on a mid ladder. But as you do push higher on trophies, there are better cards that can fill that spot. Most notably right now, the Archers are absolutely insane. 3 Musketeers over here on the higher end of A tier. The Tombstone, also a very powerful building, one of the best in the game at that. And it also offers a bit of versatility with the ability to infinitely distract things like a mortar, or even use it on defense against a graveyard for almost a complete denial. Valkyrie going to be here on the lower end of B tier. The Wizard, unfortunately, is our D tier card for our rare tier list. Check this out. The Wizard is currently the lowest ranked card in the entire game. 109 out of 109, boasting only a 17% win rate. That means this card drastically loses a lot more battles than it wins, and it has persistently been one of the weakest cards in the game for years. And our final rare card are the Zappies, going all the way up here at the middle end of the A tier. Overall, a fairly good card, both on offense and defense, and because of the utility of being able to split up on both sides of the arena, it offers split lane denial and can completely destroy something like an Electro Giant. So that is our rare tier list. Let's take a look next at the epic cards. Here we are with the epic cards, starting out with the Wall Breakers all the way up here at S tier. One of the strongest cards in the game, 54% win rate and a 14% usage. One of the most powerful win conditions with those kind of stats right now. Overall, really strong, high end of the S tier. The Giant Skeleton over here at the A tier. The Electro Dragon B tier, the Goblin Drill right up here next to the Wall Breakers. It's crazy how much the meta has changed in this balance update because of the Archers being so brokenly overpowered. It has caused a ripple effect felt across all of the other cards in Clash Royale. Electro Giant A tier, Baby Dragon A tier as well. The Executioner, unfortunately, is our first C tier card for our epics over here. The Balloon going to be over here at the A tier as well. Bowler, high end of the B tier. Overall, it's a pretty good card in Clash Royale. The Cannon card, I love this card. It is one of my favorite to use in the entire game. Bivadixter has a very high health, very high damage output, 2 stages, and a very long range attack as well. I think the Cannon card is one of the most underappreciated cards in all of Clash Royale. Speaking of underappreciated cards, the Clone Spell is definitely not underappreciated. It is a very weak card in Clash Royale right now because of the arrows are so popular. You basically can't be successfully using a clone strategy because of the 3 ways of the arrows, destroying all of your clones and everything that spawns afterwards. Race Spell gonna be B tier right next to the Electro Dragon. Unfortunately right now, the Goblin Barrel is on the lower end of C tier. Yes, log bait has been pretty good overall in Clash Royale for many years, but in the meta right now, because like I mentioned before, the arrows are so popular and Golden Knight is so strong, it doesn't leave a good spot for the Goblin Barrel and for log bait decks. So check this out. Right now, the Goblin Barrel only has a 29% win rate, 5% usage, and is currently ranked 107 out of 109 cards. What used to be a very powerful strategy has drastically fallen down because of a couple of balance changes in that last balance update. Now, if the Archers get nerfed and the meta evolves, probably log bait will be back in the meta once again. Golem over here at the higher end of B tier. Same thing with the Dark Prince as well. And the Expo gonna be on the middle side of B tier. The Tornado Spell, tornadoing his way all the way here to the highest end of S tier, even outplacing the Wall Breakers, outplacing or outpacing. Whatever it is, it's stronger. And the reason for that is because the Tornado spell is consistently one of the most powerful cards in the entire game for many years in a row. It offers so much utility. It can destroy Swarm with the damage. It can rearrange the entire board to your liking. It can activate your own King Tower. It can pull high damage units away from your win conditions. It is such an overwhelmingly versatile and powerful card, making it the highest ranked epic on this list. The raid spell over here on the A tier wizard. Wait, that's a rare card. What is it doing? We can still rank it. It's big D tier still. The prince over here on the higher end of B tier, lower end of A tier. The witch, dun 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 dun, gonna be our only D tier ranked epic card. Check this out, all the way down here, right next to the wizard, 29% win rate, 3% usage. Yes, if you are new in Clash Royale, the witch can provide value in the first like 5 or 7 arenas, but it very quickly gets outperformed by several other cards. Overall, not that strong in Clash Royale. Same thing with the mirror, unfortunately, and honestly, same thing with the guards. Like I said for the Goblin Gang, because Golden Knight and Arrows are so popular, you just can't really get too much value with the guards in the current meta. The Hunter over here on the A tier. It's a pretty versatile card, dealing high damage up close and a bit of splash damage from far as well. Barbarian Burial going to be S tier, and the Lightning Spell will be an A tier card. P.E.K.K.A. going to be over here on the lower end of B tier. The Poison Spell up here at A tier as well. And finally, for our last epic card, we have the big beefy Goblin Giant over here at the higher end of B tier. So those are our epic cards. Let's take a look at the legendary cards next. So here we are with the legendary cards, starting out with one of my favorite cards in Clash Royale, the Sparky, all the way, unfortunately, at B tier. The Sparky is overall a fun card, but can be fairly hard to use in many matchups. I just like it because it's a very fun card to play. The Bandit, a very powerful card. Honestly, with the Royal Ghost and the Miner, this trifecta right now is just dominating in Clash Royale. Take a look at this. All the way up here, we have the Royal Ghost, 57% win rate, 10% usage. Bandit, 56% win rate, 11% usage. And the Miner with a 54% win rate and a whopping 30% usage. This trifecta is dominating Clash Royale right now. Very, very powerful. The Luck Spell can be on the lower end of A tier, upper end of the S tier, or sorry, lower end of S tier, upper end of the A tier. Electro Wizard, B tier. The Ram Raider, B tier. The Graveyard, A tier. Night Witch, B tier. And the Mother Witch right next to her daughter, I guess. Is that a daughter? Otherwise, she is B tier as well. The Princess, unfortunately, is our first D tier, first and only D tier legendary card. Yes, she's overall like okay, but here's the thing. She only has a 31% win rate, 4% usage. With the Arrows dominating the meta right now, Golden Knight dominating the meta right now, Log Bait being so weak, it is not the greatest time right now for that princess. Fisherman, however, this is a fantastic time for him. Up here at the higher end of the S tier, very fun card to play. Just being able to pull off some crazy plays like pulling your opponent's units to the opposite lane or activating your King Tower, or pulling high damage units away from your win condition with the Fisherman makes it a very fun card to play. Infernal Dragon over here at A tier. The Phoenix, another S tier card. Very, very powerful despite multiple rounds of nerfs. Still a very dominant card. The Ice Wizard is our one and only C tier card for our legendary list. The Lumberjack, lower end of B tier. Lava Hound, higher end of the A tier. Same thing with the Magic Archer, higher end of A tier. And the Archers, that's not a legendary card. What are you doing over there? Well, you know what? You're very powerful right now, Archers. You might as well be a legendary, so I will place you in the S tier just because you are so powerful. Honestly, you're even stronger than the majority of these legendaries. And then finally, we have the big beefy boy, the Mega Knight. Where does he land? He's B tier. So that is our legendary tier list. Let's take a look finally at the champions. And here we are finally with the champion cards, which I suppose is a surprise to no one that all of these champion cards are very, very powerful in Clash Royale, which I guess is why they're champions in the first place. But if we had to rank them, this is how I would do it. So number one would be the Golden Knight. Currently, in my opinion, one of the strongest cards in the entire game and definitely the strongest champions in the meta right now. Next up is the Skeleton King. Third is going to be the Mighty Miner. Fourth place is the Archer Queen, and then fifth and finally will be the Monk. So here are the ranking of the 5 champion cards. All of them are S tier, but if I had to rank one over the other, this is how it would look. Just keep in mind that all these cards are very, very powerful, and you can't go wrong using any of them. They just work in different strategies. And that is the champion ranking. That is the end. I hope this tier list helps you on your Clash Royale journey. And if you want to see some more amazing content, check out this video.